Hello everyone, this is Mehak Upadhyay, Legal Internet Lexis and Company. Welcome back to our channel. Today's topic of discussion would be regards to the admissibility of facts and statements that are produced before the court under Evidence Act. We'll be discussing sections 17 to 23 as of Indian Evidence Act, and will be looked upon whose statements or whose statements and documents would be regarded as admissible under this in the court during a trial. So let's start with section 17. Section 17 talks about that any statement of any person, that a statement of any person that could help to draw inference from inference or a chain to any fact in issue or some relevant fact. Those statements, those documentary evidences would be admissible before the court. These statements, these statements can be either oral statements or maybe in some documentary forms, but they should be relevant before the court. So, from where we can draw an inference with regards to a fact and issue. For example, A mixed the poison in the B's food. C had witnessed the scene. B died by eating that food, and when the proceedings began, the statement of C that he had seen them, that he had saw A mixing the poison. So that statement would be relevant and would be admissible as well under section 17. Then we have section 18. Section 18 talks about whose statement would be admissible under court. First thing he says is the statements of the party per se would be admissible. There is no contradiction on this thing. Second, we have the agents of the parties. If the parties are working through their agents under lawfully appointed by the party, and the agent in the good faith was performing the duty, then the statement of the agents regarding to any fact and issue or regarding to any relevant facts would be admissible before the courts, provided the agent was working under the oath or was working in good faith and was duly appointed by the principal as an agent. Okay. Then we have the representative of suits. Sometimes, for example, in family disputes, if the dispute was between father and his brothers, and during the suit the fathers died, then his legal representatives, his son or his wife or his daughter, anyone could proceed with the suit, while representing themselves as a party, and they are the legal representatives of the actual party. So in that case, the statements of any statement spoken by any statement of these representatives of the son, widow or daughter would be admissible before the court if it helped the court to conclude a particular fact, or something relevant could be extracted from the statement. Then third person that could be that whose statement would be admissible before the court under section 18 is from the person from whom the interest has been drawn. The person from whom the interest has been drawn. For example, A had bought the property from B. And C would be the legal hire, or C would be the next party to whom B had committed to sell the party. And in between any dispute regarding the sale deed among A and B, any statement of C relevant to the fact and issue would be admissible, as because he is the one who had interest in the property in dispute. So the statements will also be relevant under section 18. Then we have then section 19 says that any person whose statement could be used to contradict the very statements of the party in suits would be relevant under section 19. For example, if A was appointed by B for collecting rent on his behalf from his tenants, C was one of his tenants, and B sued A for not collecting the rent from C. A contended that no rent was due against C. If if C said that yeah, that there he owed some rent towards B, but no one collected from him, then this statement would be relevant to contradict the statement of A. In such person, a person who do not have any interest in the suit, but their statements are relevant to contradict the statements of the parties, would be relevant under section 19, or would be admissible under section 19. Then we have third party referred in the suit. If while performing if in the suit there are two parties, and if any of the party mentioned any third party, for example, if the case is that A had if A and B if A had stolen B's car, and A said that I was at the cinema hall and Mr. D was with me, you can ask him. And if here the statement of Mr. D would be relevant under section 20, because he was the third party whose reference were made by the parties in the suit. So in that scene, the third statement of the third party, though not connected to any of the fact and issues, but still his statement would be relevant as it was being referred by the party to the suits itself. So total we have 7 persons whose statements are admissible before the courts. So I'll summarize all the persons whose statements are admissible. First is the parties themselves. Then we have agents of the parties working on the behalf of them. Then we have a party interested in subject matter or the subject matter of the suit. Then we have persons from where interest was derived. Means if the plot was bought from A and B and the dispute was between B and C, that the statement of A would be relevant under this section. Then we have representatives of parties, for example, this legal hire, so legal representatives after the death of father. Persons whose position needs to be proved, means for the tenant in the section 19. Tenant in the section 19 whose statement would be relevant, since it was but it needs to be proved that who is he, why would his statement would be relevant. Then the persons expressively referred to the party in suit. If A asks the court to call Mr. D to give his statement in his favor, then such a statement will be relevant under section 20. So that's all about about whose statement would be admissible before the courts. I hope you like this video. Do like and share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.